choir gives you a very different perspective on life that maybe you might not be able to get from, being on your sports team or just, being with your school or something like that. It gives you, tours alone, the culture shocks, the languages, the musical effects. It's completely different than just going somewhere with your family versus going with choir, because you get to interact with these different people in a very, very different way.
I remember in South Africa when I went, you were looking at the townships, just realizing, how great it is to be alive and to be so grateful for what you have. It's definitely life-changing. To experience that is just incredible.
It's like we were like 10 miles from Swaziland, and it was real Afrikaner, and there's like segregation was still very much a part of the town, and there was a lot of racial. I remember they wouldn't shake the black kids in the choir hands. Like it was real. It was really amazing to see. And we went to a fast food chain after our church service there at this Dutch Reformed church. We went to a fast food chain called Wimpy, which were everywhere in South Africa. They're pretty mediocre food actually, but we went to all these places, and we would sing for them afterwards. And all of the people who worked at Wimpy were African. They weren't Afrikaner. They weren't these like Dutch people, but they were like native Africans. And I just remember like 5 minutes before closing, and they were just not happy to see this choir like come in, like 70 kids coming in here and like ordering food, and they were having none of it. And afterwards we sang for them, and they started sort of like slowly getting into it. And then by the end we're doing all these South African songs and all these like songs from the township, like these native African songs, and they're like killing it. They're dancing, they're doing all this stuff, and it was really cool to watch.
We were on a train coming back from one of these concerts, and we were just like standing around with all these people that were coming back from work, and they were all like tired and bugged out and everything. So then we started singing Waltzing Matilda, and everybody just was really happy and started you could like see the change.
One of my favorite concerts was actually in Norway, up in Longyearbyen, the northernmost settlement in the world. We sung Song Prayer of the Children in the formal concert at their solstice ceremony. And afterwards, that family there had come up to our director and said that song had brought them an amazing sense of closure that they had not felt, because they had lost their 12-year-old son in the shootings in the capital that had taken place the year before. And so between that song and then later on, we gathered that family, and the choir encircled them and sung that song once again for them. It was just an amazing experience, because it really hammers home what the world is like and the effect that our music can bring to people.
My most memorable performance with KSB, I guess, was probably last year when we did B1K, just because like that was when I saw like the magnitude of like what KSB is and like the things that like they do here. It's like we got 1,000 boys and people from a bunch of different places all together on one stage just for the heck of it. And I don't know, that just like drove home to me like how like the kind of stuff that gets done at KSB.
I think that the opportunity to see so much of the world as such a young person, was, integral in me becoming who I am, just because it gives such a larger sense, and just talking about the culture shocks that what life is like in Philadelphia or in Doylestown where I live is not what life is like in Vietnam or Cambodia, and it gives you a perspective that really no other organization could. A sports team can travel somewhere, but they're probably not going to, and I keep saying Cambodia or Thailand, but, most of Europe or most of, Australia or Asia or South America, there's just lots of opportunities that you can't get anywhere else. And it's, such an amazing experience.
I lost my dad when I was 10 years old, and right after that, Laura's introduced me to the choir, and ever since then, I think it was the first season, we sang Homeward Bound, and it really hit me hard, but it made me realize, I'm making him proud by being in the choir, staying in the choir, being more mature than I could have been or may have been. But
yeah. It's a really intense commitment. Sacrifice every single Saturday. You want to sleep in, but then you got to go to choir, which is fun. But
when you start to question, like, is this something I want to do? Is this really something that I want to be a part of? It happens, and then your parents are like, yes, you stay in the choir. And then
You
like,
stay
now,
in the choir.
No, it's not a choir.
as like seniors, you're like so grateful for them making you do that and making you stay because it's really it shaped all of us. Like it can't. We spent so much time here. You know, all these experiences they really just become a part of our character, and it's really cool to think back and all these years that we've been in it and see how that shaped us. I wrote my college essay. On
Kept
that,
us
so
off
I
the
think-
streets.